Welcome to the AI Story Narrator.
In the dimly lit corner of a campus bar, the first whispers of the unusual phenomenon called reality shifting reached my ears. It was the start of a new semester, a warm night filled with students recounting their summer escapades and bemoaning their class schedules. It felt like an odd time to return to the rigid routine of school, the night's energy making it seem more like the beginning of summer rather than the end. Yet, I found solace in the need for a brief escape from the noisy crowd. So, I slipped away from my friends, perching in the alley between the bar and a pizza place, a cloud of tobacco and candy-scented smoke enveloping me. With my phone in hand and my face tilted toward the moon, I listened to the ambient chatter, the rhythmic click of lighters, and the exhales of smoke that painted the night with ephemeral trails. I'd never been a fan of the smell or taste of smoke, be it nicotine or otherwise, nor the feeling of anything other than clean air in my lungs. But there was an undeniable, rebellious freedom that emanated from the act of smoking. My mom had been a lot like the people I was now observing. She'd wielded a lipstick-stained American Spirit cigarette like a rebellious flag, a gesture aimed at a world she believed took itself too seriously. She dabbled in puzzles, conspiracy theories, and all things New Age, even conducting tarot card readings on weekends. She'd often tell me we were genetically predisposed to hear the whispers of the universe, attributing significance to everything from a peculiar bird sighting to the unique burn marks on a piece of toast. She relished challenging convention, enjoyed debates, and had a hearty laugh. Horror movies were a favorite, and she'd laugh the hardest when I, with eyes half covered and fingers tightly gripping my face, tried to watch them with her. But her snapshots of life had ceased last summer. Her laughter had transformed into a persistent cough, the cough into a grim diagnosis, and the diagnosis into her final resting place. Lung cancer, the doctors had stated, as though those two words could encapsulate the vibrant life she'd lived. As if those words could justify the painful sight of her gradually drowning in her own blood. Being an orphan is a uniquely lonely experience, especially when you're technically an adult but don't feel like one, and when you have no other family to turn to. My mom was a free spirit to the extreme, which I loved her for, but not everyone appreciated her unconventional ways. There had been no grand funeral. Instead, it was just me, her ashes, and the quiet serenity of a nearby lake. They said it would get easier, but it hadn't yet. Being around smokers brought back memories of my mother. I had to fight the urge to cough and do my best to blend in, fiddling with the nearest object as a distraction, while they elegantly drew cigarettes from their packs or flaunted expensive-looking vapes. Usually, they didn't pay me much attention, but if they did, they could tell I wasn't quite one of them, banding together to trade a bit of life for some fun. Bullshit. The word was dripping with disdain, drawing my attention away from my phone. I swear it's real, but you don't have to believe me. A woman with a pink pixie cut raised her hands defensively, a joint smoldering between her fingers. I don't. It's just an excuse to avoid working on that essay of yours. Her taller companion, in heeled boots, skeptically took a puff from their vape and arched an eyebrow. I've nearly finished the essay, okay? Shifting actually helped me. My interest peaked at that, as I needed inspiration to navigate the first weeks back on campus after my mother's passing. How? Her voice was more critical than inquisitive, but the woman with pink hair responded anyway. Well, I've been practicing all summer. She pulled out her phone, scrolling through something I couldn't quite see and displaying it with a flourish. Her companion squinted at the screen, grimacing upon seeing whatever was there. Can you not talk about it like it's a sport? Watching TikTok videos isn't practice. Why are you so negative? And how would you even know? Suddenly, the woman turned her head towards me, a sharp glare that made me realize I'd been unintentionally staring at them while eavesdropping. I felt a blush creeping up my cheeks in embarrassment. Do you want a hit? She raised an eyebrow, extending the joint toward me more as an accusation than an invitation. I stammered, nervously licked my lips, and fumbled to put my phone in my pocket. My hands were sweaty as I struggled to avoid looking suspicious. Desperate to find words, I finally settled on a weak, "I'm good," before hurrying away from my perch. It was a reflexive response of mine to retreat when I felt like I didn't belong, and it certainly wasn't the first time. Back at the bar, I tried to drown the embarrassment in alcohol, drinking until the blush on my face subsided and silently hoping I wouldn't run into the two women I'd overheard. Fortunately, I didn't encounter them again that night. However, the subject matter they discussed continued to intrigue me. The woman's unwavering belief and her companion's skepticism lingered in my thoughts as I navigated classes and planned out my study schedule over the following weeks. On Halloween night, the stars aligned. I stayed up later than I should have, pondering whether I should even bother trying to sleep. I spent an entire hour flipping through streaming services and video games, unable to settle on a suitable distraction. Every invitation to go out was met with a polite decline. My thoughts were consumed by the memory of my mother, who had adored Halloween, and I yearned to share it with her as I used to. During that restless night, my thoughts returned to the concept of reality shifting. It fascinated me in a way nothing else ever had. I found myself zoning out in class, scrolling through videos and scripts related to reality shifting, eager to absorb all the information I could find. Most of the content I discovered was open and inquisitive, a welcoming community where individuals asked questions and shared tips. The idea of diving into a reality where the rules could be rewritten held a strange appeal. As I delved deeper into the subject, the feeling of belonging to this community grew, as if I'd stumbled upon a hidden world that resonated with my own experiences. The more I interacted with the subgroup focusing on Epimethe, the more connected I felt. My evenings were filled with exchanging direct messages, piecing together the puzzling tale of Epimethe, with people sharing their enigmatic experiences. Each shift offered a deeper understanding, like a journey into an uncharted world. I couldn't help but immerse myself in the discussions, eager to unravel the mysteries of this strange place. Epimethe was different from the other shifting experiences I'd encountered. It was described as an empty series of hallways adorned with white and red clay figurines, but the accounts were fragmented and mysterious, unlike the colorful and vivid realities others had visited. The allure of Epimethe captivated me more than any other shifting trip. It was like finding a hidden room in my own house, something that had been there all along, but I had never noticed. My mother would have adored the enigmatic mystery of Epimethe, the same way she'd get excited about the peculiar and unexplained. I could almost imagine her sitting beside me, pointing at the screen with long, manicured nails, tapping my shoulder when she found something particularly intriguing. For the first time in a long while, I felt like I truly belonged. The sense of community I found in the Epimethe discussions was comforting. It seemed to provide a sanctuary where I could share my fascination with kindred spirits. However, an unrelenting obsession had taken hold of me. I became more than a casual observer, I was a fervent participant. My room turned into a self-made prison, and I couldn't escape the allure of Epimethe. I skipped classes, meals, and eventually cut myself off from the world outside. The frustration grew as I struggled to reach Epimethe, much like I had during my initial attempts to shift. The mysterious world of Epimethe remained just out of reach, and it consumed my every waking moment. My computer became cluttered with dead-end leads and unanswered questions. The world I used to know faded away, replaced by a monotonous routine of attempts and failures, of unanswered questions and unsolved puzzles. I couldn't escape the allure of Epimethe, even though it was slowly unraveling the fabric of my own reality. The deeper I delved into Epimethe, the more convoluted the journey back became. The walls would shift and rearrange, distorting my sense of direction. The more I spent within those empty halls, the more they transformed and expanded. Then came the moment I encountered something unexpected, a creature. Its eyes, one milky white and the other a pulsating blood red, locked me in place. It stood within the stark, angular architecture of Epimethe, a grotesque figure with twisted horns, white smoke billowing from its mouth like a living entity. The creature extended its clawed hands, placing an unseen object in my palm. I couldn't see it, but I could feel it, a prize, a secret, something I had been searching for. The encounter left me with more questions than answers, but it was a turning point in my journey. When I returned to my own world, I was breathless and disoriented, as though I'd been abruptly yanked from a speeding car. I lay on the floor for what felt like hours, my chest heaving, my body anchored once more to the reality I had left behind. From that day on, my obsession with reality shifting waned. The urge to escape to Epimethe no longer gnawed at me. Instead, I felt a growing dread, deep and pervasive, that something was amiss. Now, I should have been back to my routine, attending classes, socializing, and resuming my life. But I couldn't shake the feeling that one foot remained in Epimethe, pulling me back. It was as if I were being split between two worlds. Worse still, I felt like I was being observed. In the grocery store, in my kitchen while washing dishes, or even in the quiet of my own room, I couldn't escape the sensation that something was watching me. I saw glimpses of Epimethe in mundane places, and I couldn't be sure if my reality was crumbling away, one piece at a time. Sometimes, I heard the creature's distorted voice, an eerie frequency that echoed in the quieter moments. I felt the unseen objects he had placed in my hands, and his cryptic questions haunted me like a brand. I wondered if I had ever truly left Epimethe or if it had become more clever at constructing the maze. If I had indeed left, had I unwittingly brought back some malevolent force with me? How long would it be before the world around me started to disintegrate, too? The sense of unease grew stronger, my reflection in the mirror showing eyes that seemed too knowing, too empty, too white and too red. I couldn't escape the feeling that the empty corridors of Epimethe had never been truly empty, and now, I was trapped in a nightmare that I couldn't wake from.
If you like the video, be sure to like and subscribe. See you next time.